and welcome back to Electric Football. This is the Week 6 preview. As always with you, I'm Stuart Pace.
I'm Steve Brown.
Here we are again at the Cosmos Club in Farrell on a little change in what we're going to do this week. Rather than make two programs, you guys seem to really like the preview, so we're going to stick with that this week.
All 5 of you have voted and you want the preview, not the review.
I'd like to thank my family for watching.
So the bye week this week is Carolina, New Orleans, Jacksonville, and the Bears.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to miss many of those teams, actually.
Not this week, no.
Bears being the only team that seemed to have a realistic chance out of those teams right now.
True, the Saints got their win, and now they get to rest and go, phew.
Yeah, and the other teams are mostly coming off horrible games, so... well, not the Bears, I'm sorry.
No, they had a pretty good game.
But Carolina is starting to have some Cam Newton questions. There was an article today on NFL.com comparing him to Vince Young year 2, which is not a good comparison.
No, that's terrible.
It's a good comparison to make. It's not a good comparison to be Cam Newton and have it go, that might be true.
Vince Young, he's still in the league, right? Super Bowl MVP?
So anyway, we have a Thursday night game again.
Yay.
Oh, hooray. And that is the Steelers at the Titans. This one's easy for me, Stu. The Titans are vying to be one of the worst defenses of 2012, and they're doing a pretty good job of it. Mm-hmm. So I think the Steelers by a ground and pound against Tennessee. You?
Yeah, you know what? You're starting to convince me that the Thursday night football game isn't a great idea. Of course, I'm always in favor of football being on. I wish it was 12 months. But, boy, this is a matchup where you go, The Office is on. Steelers-Titans. I'm watching The Office because it's going to be better entertainment. I think it's the Steelers all the way. Mendenhall came back, was surprisingly good. 14 rushes, about 80 yards, and a touchdown. Surprised me. I mean, the guy hadn't played yet. Had a good game. So I think it's the Steelers, even though they're on the road.
And everybody pretty much has a good game against the Titans defense right now.
That's true, too.
Another matchup that's going to have you, just on the edge of your seat would be the Chiefs at the Buccaneers. It's as if the schedule maker said, let's take the two teams that Steve really thought were going to be okay this year and are disappointing him and put them together in Week 6.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody's got to win it. I'll take the Bucs by sheer toughness.
Yeah, I just want to mention, when Matt Castle went down in the last game, the fans of the Kansas City Chiefs were cheering.
Appalling, I think, is the word you're looking for.
Yeah, and their offensive tackle, whose name just escaped me, I don't know why I thought I could memorize it for the show. There's a nice rant. If you go on YouTube, you can see this guy just teeing off on the fans saying, we may stink as players, but we're human beings, and they're absolutely right. Chiefs fans should get an 0-16 season for behaving like that, But that said, the Bucs are home. They're clearly an average team, and the running game needs to improve, and Jackson better catch on fire. I think it's the Bucs by 1 at home.
There you go. Next up is the Colts at the Jets. The Jets are coming off sort of a moral victory in that they weren't embarrassed at home against the Texans. Mm-hmm. Matt Slauson landed a cheap shot block that put Brian Cushing out for the Texans.
For the season.
That was one cheap back of the legs cut block, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Colts coming off a real emotional game against the Packers where they came back and won one. Irsay was doing the speech in the locker room talking about the coach and his fight with leukemia. I think the Colts might actually keep it rolling. I think Andrew Luck's living up to expectations, and I think the Jets really need this game. I just don't know that they're going to actually win this game. Stu?
Yeah, if the Colts were home, I'd probably be picking them, but the Jets are coming off a couple really embarrassing losses. Certainly the 49er game, they got spanked, and the Houston game wasn't as close as the score showed.
And the boos started ringing out early for Mark Sanchez, I got to tell you.
And for some reason, Rex took Tebow out when he actually had them moving forward. It was kind of perplexing that he would do that. But as a Dolphin fan, thank you. But I think the Jets win a close one at home. I think the Colts are going to come off this win for their coach, and then they got to come into Giant Stadium and play the Jets.
Okay, we'll move on to the Bengals at the Browns. It feels like they just played this game last week in reverse order. The Bengals are a better team than most people think they are. The Browns looked great against the Giants for 7 minutes. And then they looked pathetic against the Giants for the rest of the game. Mm-hmm. So, once again, I'm going to take the Bengals, and the Browns will get their inevitable beating.
I'm going to disagree. The Bengals are smarting after a loss to the Dolphins, which I don't think they expected to happen. I did. I think Miami is playing better than their record indicates. The Browns had a quick start against the Giants, but it was fumbles. You're not great when you're going 25 yards.
We shot off that quick 60-yard touchdown.
Okay, in one play. But I think Cleveland at home, their defense is pretty good. I mean, they were put in a terrible position against the Giants, which is the defending Super Bowl champs. But the Browns' defense isn't terrible, and the Bengals' offense isn't great. I think Cleveland wins a squeaker at home for those Browns fans.
All right.
I like the Browns.
Lions at the Eagles, another battle of teams that have disappointed at least their fans, not so much me, but there were high expectations for both teams.
Yep.
Neither one has really lived up to them. I'm taking the Lions in this. I'm still a believer in the Lions' defensive line, and I think that overall talent, the Lions are just a little bit better than the Eagles.
This was supposed to be an incredible game. When you looked at the schedule, you were going, Philly Lions. I think we're going to get ripped off on this. Vic's not impressive, and I think he can do just enough to win this one at home. I think Detroit outside, I've been saying it all year, and so far it's been right. Detroit outside is not a good team.
Wow. Okay, that's a good observation.
And I love Detroit. I was rooting for. I'd love to see them win a Super Bowl. Won't happen in my lifetime.
Well, of course not if they were going against Miami.
No, of course not.
Raiders at Falcons, and all I can say on this one is 6-0, another win for the G-Sump men. G-Sump, our one and only subscriber. We're with you, baby.
Oh, I think we get Rich and Dan this week. Or did they subscribe to me accidentally? I'll have to find that.
6-0 for the Raiders. I mean, 6-0.
Whoa, those 6-0 Raiders.
Where's our teleprompter? If you want to chip in for a teleprompter so we don't make mistakes like that, please feel free to do so.
Can anyone beat the Falcons?
Yes.
Okay.
They're not an incredible team.
I know. A much better air attack than they are on the ground. Even though they have Michael Turner, they haven't been as good on the ground as I thought they would be. Can they torch the Raiders at home? I don't know. Atlanta's 27th against the run on defense. And if McFadden is healthy and whoever's going to be the backup, Goodson, if he's not hurt, they might be able to run against them. Atlanta's given up 145 yards per game on the ground. I don't know.
Stu,
I think the Falcons. No. I think the Falcons win.
You made a great argument for
I know. Them. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to take the Raiders. Okay. I'll take the Raiders.
And I'm going to take your mortgage and we'll bet on it.
You can have it. It's underwater.
Rams at the Dolphins. And Stu, being our resident Dolphin expert, should probably handle this. All I'm going to say is I'm taking the Rams. Ryan Tannehill's done great. I think he's exceeded expectations for the Dolphins. But the Rams have better quality wins. They've beaten Seattle, they've beaten the Redskins, and they've beaten Arizona. To me, those are quality wins, and I'm taking the Rams. Stu?
You know, I've been taking your Vikings all year.
I know, and I haven't been taking the Vikings,
know.
But I did wear the jersey tonight.
Yeah, whoop-de-doo.
Who was 71 in the 80s, by the way? Anyone?
My grandfather. He was 71. No, anyway. Thank you. Hey, it's a late night here.
Rams at Dolphins.
This is a game of pretty even strength. I think this goes kind of like the Dolphins-Cardinals and the Rams-Cardinals game. I think it's going to be pretty tight. They're both pretty good defenses. Their offenses are, Tannehill is playing well. You know, he's not hurting us anymore. The Houston game was an abomination, but he's playing solid football. Reggie Bush might be injured. I'm not sure. Is Amendola out? If Amendola's out, that's Bradford's guy. And I think Miami wins this one based on that.
One of the problems with doing this show early in the week is we're not sure on the injury. So Bear with us if we say, is he out, is he not out? Next up, we've got Cowboys at the Ravens. The Ravens were my Super Bowl pick. I hate the Cowboys. The Cowboys are no Flacco-ing good.
No Flacco-ing?
I didn't want to say
mother Flacco.
I didn't want to say something that would get us cut from YouTube. So I'm going to go with the Ravens pushing Jason Garrett and probably Tony Romo out the door in Dallas.
Yeah, I'm going to agree 100% with you.
Wow, that's a change.
Yeah, this should have been a marquee matchup going into the season. Everyone, especially after the Dallas Giants game on opening night, Dallas looked unbeatable, and then they played again, and that was that. The Ravens are going to do what they do every week: is play solid defense. not turn the ball over that often. Flacco's good enough to get him past teams like this, and I think it's Baltimore.
And Ray Rice, just a stellar performer every week, always putting up numbers, versatile. Just ride Ray Rice to victory on this one.
Yeah, I think Romo needs to find a new team. Just get out of there. He's a good quarterback, but I don't think Dallas is the place for him anymore.
Yeah, that's actually, it seems like a good idea. Bills at Cardinals, and not since the 1800s have Buffalo's been slaughtered like they were last week.
Man,
they were supposed to be an improving team, and their defense especially was supposed to be improving with Mario Williams and some pickups they made in the offseason. And it's the Cardinals that have the better defense. They're coming off a disappointing Thursday night game against the Rams, but they're going to be well rested. They're going to be angry, and Kevin Kolb should actually feast on the Bills' defense.
I think it's a close game too, and if Fitzpatrick can find the magic to throw the ball like he has sporadically in games throughout the last 2 seasons, he can torch the Cardinals' secondary. I mean, they gave up 400 yards to Tannehill. Certainly, Fitzpatrick, when he's on, can do that, but I don't think their offense is going to be able to consistently. I think this is the second week they're on the road as well. Teams definitely don't do well on their second road game typically. And I just think the Cardinals are a little better than Buffalo.
Okay, we agree on that one. Patriots at the Seahawks. And I got to tell you, Wes Welker does good post-game conferences. He took a little shot at Bill Belichick. People are trying to decide whether that was, tongue-in-cheek, whether that was real. It wasn't as good as his foot fetish interview with Rex Ryan.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Well, I love that. God bless you, little Wes Welker.
I'll come back to Miami.
It seems like the Patriots it was a huge win against Denver. Brady once again played spectacularly. He targeted Welker 13 times, I think it was, and it seems to me that the Patriots really have a little more balance now with a couple of good running backs, Stephen Ridley. So I don't see any way that Seattle wins this one, even if they are at home.
Well, then we'll just skip over what I'm going to say because it's opposite. It's cold. It's rainy. They're 3,000 miles away. A meaningless, non-divisional, non-any conference game. The Seattle Seahawks defense is ranked number 1. With who? I can't name a player on this defense. And yet, granted, they're not playing powerhouse teams, but it says something to be going into Week 6 with the number 1 defense. I think it's a letdown game for Brady, and I just think the Hawks win one at home. This is one of those weeks where you just go, yeah, probably.
Okay, fair enough. Giants at 49ers, and this is the marquee game. This is a game that's really going to establish the pecking order in the NFC. Mm-hmm. To me, the Giants' big problem this year is a surprise. It's that their defensive line is not producing. They're not getting sacks.
Right.
JPP, Justin Tuck, OC, they're just not getting to the quarterbacks like they used to. And this is a weird game in that I think that what San Francisco does best on defense is going to hurt the Giants' offense the most. I don't think the Giants are going to establish any kind of a running game. I think they're going to try and throw a lot, and Eli on the road, he's a great quarterback, but I don't expect him to really succeed in San Francisco this week. So I'm taking the 49ers on tough defense and running the ball effectively and eking out a low-scoring win.
Sims, Montana, Rice, Bavaro. It's back to that, only the stars are now, Manning, Smith, Gore, and Cruz. But this is back to the 80s when they used to beat the crap out of each other late in the season, always facing each other in the playoffs. This is the game of the week, and I think San Francisco just ekes one out. I agree. I don't think the Giants are going to establish much of a running game. Although Bradshaw looked good the other day, it was Cleveland.
And Browns looked good for them in spurts, and they have David Wilson, who's got an awful lot of speed.
Oh, they've got the backs. It's just they haven't done anything.
You reminded me of the I believe it was Leonard Marshall hit on Joe Montana,
mm-hmm.
and there was also a big Jim Burt hit. Those were great games back then.
They were great games.
So thank you.
You're welcome. A trip down memory lane.
Now I finally wore the team colors, so it's Vikings at Redskins, and Robert Griffith.
Peter Griffin. Hey, Lois.
Got his bell rung. You can ring my bell. Ring my bell. Ding dong. So we're not sure if he's going to be in this week or not. That makes a big difference in this game. But an underrated quarterback right now is Christian Ponder, who's when he was drafted, there was a lot of talk about him going too early, blah, blah, blah. He's looking good. He's getting the ball to Percy Harvin, which makes a man look good. Sometimes the box score doesn't show you everything, and Harvin's ability to make guys miss turns a 2-yard dump-off pass into a 10-yard touchdown. And a 10-yard touchdown pass doesn't look that impressive on the box score. But, boy, when you watch him live, he makes guys miss like not many people in the NFL makes guys miss.
4 guys missed him the other day.
So I have been riding the Viking long ship for since I was about 5, literally.
A wee Viking.
I'm not jumping on the longboat, but I'm helping row. I'm taking the Vikings this time.
Well, to me, it's this way: if RG3 is in, or if he's out. If he's out, I fully expect the Vikings to win. If he's in, I think it's a closer game than that. Almarz is no Peterson as a running back for Washington. Washington has been running well, but the Vikings have been playing very well on defense and stopping running attacks. If RG3 is out, no chance. I think the Vikings will crush them. So take Washington.
Yeah, we're there you go. We're one win against the Colts away from being undefeated so far this year.
We say this every week. How did you lose to the Colts?
We barely snuck by the Jaguars. Speaking of a team that's not doing it, the Packers are not doing it this year. It's pretty impressive how they've fallen off, considering they basically didn't lose last year.
Mm-hmm.
And they are going up against a very, very tough Texans team at home. The Texans just took care of the Jets. J.J. Watt, which rhymes with SWAT, which is what he did to just about every one of Mark Sanchez passes. It seemed like Sanchez couldn't get anything off without him with his big Frankenstein hands and knocking it down.
He's a big boy.
But he's already at 8.5 sacks, I believe it is. And the Texans defense lost Brian Cushing, but is still amazingly tough. They've got a lot of balance this year. I mean, Arian Foster and Andre Johnson, Kevin Walters, Owen Daniels. It's no longer just chuck it up to Andre Johnson and pray. And they can grind it out on the ground. So I don't see the way of the Packers winning this game, which is hard to say considering where they were last year and what our expectations were for them early this year.
What the fun is wrong with Green Bay? I don't understand. Are they missing Joe Philbin that much? He was their offensive coordinator. Can it be that, important? I wouldn't think so. But you know what he's done discipline-wise and practice-wise with the Dolphins to improve these pretty crappy players overall. And maybe things are different enough in Green Bay that it shifted, the way they approach things. I'm flabbergasted that they're losing these games. The defense is scary bad. And the Texans are looking like a favorite to go to the Super Bowl. It's probably either going to be the Ravens or the Texans, because I just think they can both beat Brady. But that said, it's a non-divisional, non-conference game. Green Bay needs to win. Houston doesn't need to win this game, and it's tough to keep going undefeated. The pressure starts mounting. It's week 6, and they really have been playing the good teams yet. They've beaten Miami. They've beaten the Jets. Nobody's expecting these teams to go too far. I think Aaron Rodgers finds his mojo and gets it done this week by like 1.
I often go with the talented, desperate team to win things, but I'm not going to in this case. Oh. And then we have the that's all right.
Sure, change your mind this week when I take that team.
And we have the Monday Nighter, which is the Broncos at the Chargers. And once again, I'm going to tell you this: the Chargers are bad.
Mm-hmm.
They're 3-2, but their 3 wins are against the worst teams in the NFL right now, in my mind: the Raiders, the Titans, and the Chiefs. You can't put any value on that. Peyton Manning did great against the New England defense. He did not lose that game. He played a great game, and I expect him to carve up the Chargers on Monday night. I think it's really that simple.
I need Peyton Manning to retire just so that I can watch another team's highlights. That's why we do this show. Because we talk about every team, not just Peyton Manning and Tom Brady and
Tim Tebow and
the Steelers, and the networks have really been avoiding a lot of the teams. I don't think that's fair. And for some reasons I can't understand, he's not on a very good team. I don't know why he selected the Broncos of all the teams to go to. And it's going to be a long season for him. I think the Chargers are starting to play extremely well. Even with that funky delivery that Rivers has, he's looking better so far to start a season than he has in a long time. It's an AFC West showdown. I always like to take the home team, whether it's Chiefs, Raiders, or Broncos, Chargers. Always take the home team in this case. It's just something I've been doing for 25 years, and I'm sticking to it. Chargers by 3.
I'll tell you, this feels like point counterpoint instead of electric football. We're disagreeing on a lot of stuff, so we want you to come back next week and tell us who was right, who was wrong. Give us our comments. Give Steve some love.
Right.
Throw some hate stews.
Our email's right in front of you as we speak. You can write to us that way. Shout out to my boys at thefinnation.com. I want to do that every week because hoping that, pushes up the likes. And the boys at the Fin Fanatic, too. Start watching, guys.
There you go. Anyway, I'm Steve Brown.
I'm Stuart Pace. This is Week 6 of Electric Football. Good night.